So it's CinemaCon week, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time of year where cinema distributors go to this event in Las Vegas every year to talk to the studios about what's coming out on their slate and what they can do. And it's, in the past few years, turned into a rather large press event for the film industry, and this year is going to be no different. Each day has got different studios presenting their slates and various presentations, and today is the day of the Sony event. So what I want to do in this video is go through what Sony announced. It's not going to be every single announcement, but I'm going to talk about a few different things and just go through my thoughts on them. This video is also going to be very relaxed. There's not going to be much editing to it. This is just going to be me talking to the camera, talking about what they've got. I've got my laptop on here. Just going to go through the news and talk about various things. Now, main thing to start with, like the main big headline that's going to come out of this whole event is Spider-Man 4, which we finally got the title and release date for. So Spider-Man Brand New Day is officially releasing in theaters on July 31st of 2026. Now, it's great that we finally have the title. I think the title's really nice. You know, it does represent this kind of new start for the Spider-Man franchise, given where No Way Home ended back in 2021. And Tom Holland, who of course plays Spider-Man, did come out on a little video to say that this movie is going to be a fresh start for this Spider-Man series. So, you know, there's a lot of discussion about this movie, about where it's going to be, you know, a grounded movie, like street-level Spider-Man film, or whether it's going to be a bit more high concept and it's going to be multiverse and whatever. I think based on this title, we can kind of presume that maybe it's going to be more of a grounded Spider-Man film, which most of us fans would like to see. That being said, when you look at the release date of this film, it is sandwiched right in the middle of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, which does maybe make you think that this film is going to be dealing with the fallout of Doomsday. So we don't really know anything about the movie beyond this title and beyond the release date, and we still don't know what direction they're going to be going with in this. And there's my cat. So yeah, Spider-Man 4, Brand New Day. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to find out more details. Sticking with Spider-Man though, we do have our first official new details on Spider-Man Beyond the SpiderVerse. So this is of course SpiderVerse 3. This is looking really, really exciting. We did get some concept art images released from Sony here, which all look really, really cool. There were some details about the film released as well, so I'll chuck up a few images on the screen and stuff. Let's just have a look here. So, new details on Beyond the Spider-Verse. This is being described as a massive finale for the trilogy, which, I mean, I feel like that was obvious. Features an entirely new animation. Now, this is interesting. Obviously, Spider-Verse really was innovative in its animation style, and it kind of brought on many other films in the industry trying to do similar work to what Sony did with the Spider-Verse movies. Like, you know, we have inspirations like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie we got last year, or the Puss in Boots movie that kind of had a similar animation style. So, you know, it's kind of cool and exciting that Sony have brought another new animation style into this movie. That sounds pretty fun. Picks up immediately after the second film, which again I feel like is obvious. That second film ended on a pretty big cliffhanger with Miles in the alternate universe, so I think that is pretty cool. Bigger and bolder than the previous two films, which again, it's the third film in the trilogy. Escalation is natural. And the entire team are working on new animation techniques, which I'm not entirely sure what that means exactly. I don't know if that is in regards to like productivity and, you know, how they're working, or whether it's different types of animation like they mentioned before. Not too sure. But they did give us the release date of the film as well, which is June 4th of 2027. So this movie is over 2 years away. I just think it's nice that we're actually finally getting some recognition and some acknowledgement of this movie, because it's been so long. You know, we knew that this movie was in the works, we knew it was happening, but we didn't really know anything beyond that. So it's nice that Sony actually, you know, said something about the movie, and we know it's actually happening and it's moving forward and there's progress. The 2027 release date sounds a little bit soon to me, if anything, especially because we know that in Across the Spider-Verse these animators were not given enough time, and crunch was heavily involved. If you need to push it to 2028, do it. Like, I know we all really want to see this movie and we're really excited about it, but we can't overwork these people. If you need to push it, please push it back, Sony. We will happily wait, I promise you. But that's Beyond the Spider-Verse, coming out 2027, June 4th. It looks great. You know, we love these films. They all seem to be really, really good. The next big thing I want to talk about is something that I don't really have much of a connection to or care about, but I do think it's incredibly interesting. And that is the Beatles 4-film cinematic event. Now, this is being directed by Sam Mendes, who is probably most well known for doing Skyfall and Spectre with the Bond franchise. He also did films like American Beauty, Empire of Light. Very good director. So he's doing a 4-film cinematic event for the Beatles, with each member of the Beatles getting their own individual biopic. And I have to say, this is a very interesting idea. It's saying that these films are all going to release on the same day, which is going to be in April of 2028. So this is still quite a long way away. And we have the castings of all 4 Beatles. And it's so weird, you know. This is kind of being described as it's being described as a bingeable cinematic event. So all 4 films of these Beatles are going to be coming out on the same day, and they're expecting people to go and see all 4 movies in the same day. Will that work? I don't know. Let's talk about the castings. We have Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney. We have Harris Dickinson as John Lennon. We've got Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr, and Joseph Quinn as George Harrison. I think these castings are good across the board. Like, these are very much like, it's that typical thing you see on Twitter, you know, like White Boy of the Month sort of thing. It's very much those guys. I think Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney is really good. I think they actually look quite similar, and I like Paul Mescal. I think that's a good casting. I also think Barry Keoghan works really well as Ringo, because even though this sounds really mean, like, Ringo was kind of known as the odd-looking Beatle, and Barry Keoghan has a very unique look himself. So I think that works. Harris Dickinson, I don't love, because I just don't love him as an actor in general. I find him quite bland, so I don't know about him. And then Joseph Quinn as George Harrison, like, cool, fine. I mean, Joseph Quinn is an actor I'm starting to like more and more as the more I see of him in things, so cool, I'm down for that. The only thing I'm worried about with this whole Beatles project is whether it's even going to work. Like, Beatles are obviously a huge thing in the music industry. Everyone knows the Beatles. I mean, me personally, I'm not the biggest lover of the Beatles, and I mean, I get rinsed for this constantly because I live near Liverpool, so the Beatles, like where I live, are basically viewed as gods. I don't personally care for them. Like, I think, you know, they were obviously, I completely recognize their influence on the music industry and how popular they were, and, you know, music wouldn't be quite where it is today if it weren't for the Beatles. I completely understand that, and there are some songs of theirs I do enjoy, but I'm just not, like, obsessed with them or anything. Like, I don't listen to them on a regular basis. I don't particularly care about them in any major way. So the idea of the Beatles getting 4 individual movies sounds like a lot to me. Like, that really sounds like a lot. And I'm just also curious as in regards to, like, what are these films actually going to be? Because are they going to be 4 individual films leading up to them being in the band? Because that doesn't sound all that interesting. Is it going to be each of their lives within the band, which that could be more interesting, and would that lead to crossovers? Like, are all 4 of the cast members going to be in all 4 of the movies? I don't know. And is this all going to lead to a Beatles Assemble movie at the end, where it's just going to be like a Beatles biopic? I don't know. It could be anything. There's very little details about this. We just know the castings and when they're going to do it, but it's an interesting idea. It's a very, very interesting idea. I will give them that. Will it work? I don't know. I'm not particularly optimistic it'll work, but I'm willing to see where they go with it. Moving on, I will talk about 28 Years Later. We did get some new images from that. Obviously, this is coming out very, very soon. Like, this is out in the next few months. So that's cool. The main thing I wanted to talk about from this, though, as I just pull it up on here, is they did confirm that Cillian Murphy is going to be a part of this 28 Years Later trilogy. So if you're unaware, 28 Years Later, which we're obviously getting this year, isn't just the one movie, it's actually the start of a trilogy. The second film is coming out later in the year, I believe, and that's directed by Candyman's Nia DaCosta. It has been confirmed that Cillian Murphy is not in 28 Years Later, directed by Danny Boyle, coming out this year. But he is going to appear in this trilogy at some point. In fact, they do say specifically that it won't be until perhaps a bit later. So that could mean he shows up in the second movie towards the end. It might be that he's just only in the third movie. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it is cool they're bringing him back, because obviously he's the main character of the first movie of 28 Days Later. So the fact that he's still around, he's still there, is pretty cool. And obviously Cillian Murphy post-Oppenheimer is kind of in a bit of a resurgence right now. So I think it's quite smart to put him in this somewhere. So I'm excited to see that. Especially because, 28 Days Later is such an amazing movie. Like, genuinely, I actually got the chance to watch it in the cinema recently. And I'd never seen it on the big screen before. And it's amazing how that movie holds up. Even though visually it looks very old, it's still an incredible film. And obviously, like, post-COVID, it's even more kind of relevant than it used to be. But anyway, cool that he's coming back. Really glad he's coming back. And I'm really excited for 28 Years Later. Like, the trailer they released was fantastic. Like, one of the best trailers we've had in a while. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one. Now, moving on, I will quickly mention Darren Aronofsky's next movie, which is Caught Stealing. I'm looking forward to this. It looks really interesting. This stars Austin Butler and Matt Smith. There was a trailer shown at the event. It seems to be some kind of heist sort of thriller in some description. Obviously, coming from Darren Aronofsky, we know this is going to be innovative, it's going to be interesting, it's going to be daring. And I'm also really excited that Austin Butler is in the lead here. Austin Butler is quickly becoming one of my favourite actors working today. He's just really talented and is getting picked for all of these really interesting projects. So I'm really happy about that. So Caught Stealing, I was kind of hoping we would get the trailer for this out of CinemaCon and it would be released to the public, but I guess that it's not really massively the CinemaCon way to release things publicly, like footage and stuff like that. So I guess that's fair enough. And the last thing I guess I can see on here really is that Jake Kasdan has been confirmed to return to direct Jumanji 3. That's coming out on December the 11th, 2026. I mean, that makes sense. You know, the Jumanji franchise is popular, does big numbers, and it's always been a December, like, Christmas release, so that makes sense. Let's have a look here, just see if there's anything else particularly relevant. Like I say, I'm sure there's a couple other things that would have been announced and stuff. I'm just looking at anything else that was particularly relevant here. I don't think so. I think that's it. All I can see on my feed right now is Beatles stuff. No, I think that's it. I think that's everything. Particularly everything that's relevant to me and what I wanted to talk about anyway. But there you have it. There's my thoughts on the Sony CinemaCon 2025 panel. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comment section down below. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on everything. We did have some good, interesting news there, some big developments, so let's talk about it in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more content, stay tuned and stay up to date with CinemaCon. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads, because there will be a few coming up in the next few days as CinemaCon continues to roll on. And with all that said and all that out of the way, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys again in my next video.